It was just an itch, no redness, no rash, nothing visible. But weeks passed and it didn't go away. For some, that quiet itch has been the first whisper of something far more serious. Hello and welcome to Wisdom in Stillness, a place where we speak gently and truthfully about the things that matter most as we grow older. Today we're talking about something that sounds simple, almost too simple, an itch. Most of us have experienced itching on different parts of our bodies. We shrug it off, apply some lotion and move on. But what if, just once in a while, that itch wasn't just dry skin? For many seniors, persistent itching in specific areas has been an early warning sign, one they didn't realize until much later. Sometimes, that itch can be the body's way of trying to get our attention, a quiet signal of something deeper, even potentially serious like cancer. In this video we'll walk through 5 common itchy spots that older adults often overlook, and how to tell if they might need a closer look. This won't be a scary conversation. We're going to talk calmly, kindly, and clearly so you know what's worth paying attention to, and when to just moisturize and move on. So, whether you're here for yourself or someone you care about, you're in the right place. Let's take this journey together. Itchy spot number 1. The back of the neck, sun damage or something more. Now let's begin with one of the most commonly ignored places, the back of the neck. It's easy to overlook, isn't it? Out of sight, out of mind. For many older adults, a persistent itch here is blamed on sweat, aging skin, or even the tag on a shirt. But here's something we need to gently consider. This area is one of the most exposed to the sun throughout our lives. Mowing the lawn, gardening, walking outside, your neck has been quietly soaking in sunlight for decades. And sun damage adds up. If you or a loved one notices that the back of the neck itches constantly, especially if there's a mole, a scaly patch, or a rough bump that doesn't go away, it might be worth a second look. One gentleman who watched our channel shared this. I had this mole that itched off and on for months. I kept scratching it thinking it was dry skin. My wife finally said, "Why don't you have that looked at?" Turns out it was an early-stage basal cell carcinoma. They removed it, and now I keep a closer eye on any changes. Not every itch is something serious, but the neck is not a place to ignore. And here's a gentle reminder. If you notice any mole or spot that starts to itch, bleed, or change shape, especially in a place you can't easily see, have someone check it for you. Have you ever had an itch that just wouldn't go away, even when you applied lotion? Type yes in the comments if that's ever happened to you. Itchy spot number 2, the lower legs, dry skin or a deeper issue. Now let's gently shift our attention to a place where many older adults experience discomfort. The lower legs, especially the shins and calves. At first glance this seems simple. Dry skin perhaps? After all, as we age, our skin naturally becomes thinner and loses moisture more easily. But what if the itch doesn't go away, even with moisturizers, gentle soaps, or warm baths? In some cases, persistent itching on the lower legs may be a sign of circulation issues. As blood flow weakens, which is more common with age, especially in people with diabetes or heart concerns, the skin may become irritated and itchy. This can also happen if you're sitting for long periods, or if the veins in your legs aren't returning blood to your heart as efficiently as they once did. But there's another possibility, and it's something most people have never heard of: cutaneous T-cell lymphoma, a rare form of cancer that often begins as red, itchy patches on the legs or arms. It can mimic eczema or psoriasis in its early stages. Now, we're not saying every itch means cancer, but we are saying your body is talking to you. Are you listening? Here's a true story that was shared in a health forum. A retired nurse had patches on her shin that kept flaring up with intense itching. She tried every lotion you could name. Eventually, her dermatologist did a biopsy, and it turned out to be something far more serious than skin dryness. Thankfully, it was still early. So what should you look for? Itching that doesn't respond to moisturizing. Patches of thickened or discolored skin. Itching paired with scaling, redness, or rough texture. Any spot that seems to slowly spread or change. It might be nothing, but when it's not nothing, early attention makes all the difference. Would you have guessed that itchy legs might be more than just dry skin? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Itchy spot number 3, the scalp, the hidden danger under your hair. Let's now move to a spot we rarely see but often feel, the scalp. For many older adults, an itchy scalp is simply chalked up to dryness, dandruff, or maybe just the weather. But what happens when the itch doesn't stop, or gets worse with time? You see, the scalp is often overlooked during skin checks, both at home and even during routine doctor visits. But this area is exposed to the sun just like our face and arms, especially for those with thinning hair. And that makes it just as vulnerable to damage. In many cases, an itchy scalp may be caused by seborrheic dermatitis, a common condition that can cause flaking, redness, and discomfort. But here's where gentle caution is wise. Sometimes a persistent sore, crusted bump, or itching spot could be an early sign of scalp cancer, particularly squamous cell carcinoma or basal cell carcinoma. What's tricky? These often start out looking like a tiny flaky spot that doesn't heal, a sore that comes and goes in the same spot, a raised bump that bleeds when scratched, a patch of rough skin that gets larger slowly. And since we can't easily see our own scalps, these changes go unnoticed, until someone else points them out, or until it's too late. A woman once shared her story online. I always thought my itchy scalp was just dryness. I changed shampoos, added oils, everything. But I noticed a scab that kept returning. My husband insisted I have it looked at, and it turned out to be a basal cell tumor. Thank God we caught it early. This is why regular scalp checks, even having a family member look once in a while, can be a powerful form of self-care. And remember, it's not about being scared. It's about being informed. Tap 1 in the comments if you've ever had a scalp itch that just wouldn't go away. You're not alone, and talking about it helps more people pay attention. Itchy spot number 4, the upper back and shoulders, the overlooked warning. Now let's move to an area that rarely gets the attention it deserves, the upper back and shoulders. These spots are often covered by clothing, but they've also had decades of sun exposure, especially during those long summer walks, gardening days, or time spent outdoors without sunscreen. It's easy to dismiss itching here as just dry skin, especially as we age. And truthfully, that's often the case. But here's where we slow down and listen more closely to our bodies. If the itch keeps returning to the same area, is accompanied by scaling, redness, or a rough patch, or there's a small, itchy bump that doesn't heal after a few weeks, it could be something more than just dryness. In some cases, non-melanoma skin cancers such as basal cell carcinoma or squamous cell carcinoma can develop in these very spots. The upper back is particularly vulnerable because it catches more sun than we realize. Think of all those years you wore short sleeves or tops with open backs without sunscreen. That sun damage can accumulate, and later show up as persistent itchiness, lesions, or moles that behave strangely. I remember reading about a gentleman named Mr. Harold who ignored an itchy patch near his shoulder blade for over a year. He couldn't see it well, so he kept brushing it off. One day during a routine massage, the therapist noticed a strange bump and urged him to see a dermatologist. It turned out to be skin cancer, thankfully caught before it spread. The lesson here? If you feel something, even if you can't see it, ask someone to take a look. Have you ever asked a spouse or family member to check your back for you? If not, consider doing it tonight, or let us know in the comments if you've ever found something you wouldn't have noticed on your own. Itchy spot number 5, around moles or freckles, when the familiar becomes concerning. Now we come to perhaps the most important spot of all, and one that often goes unnoticed because we've lived with it for years. Moles, freckles, beauty spots. You probably have a few, maybe even dozens. And for the most part they're harmless. But when an old mole starts to itch or a familiar freckle begins to change, it's time to pause. Here's what to watch for. A mole that itches persistently, especially without any injury or irritation. A freckle that grows, changes shape, or gets darker. Any spot that bleeds, scabs, or feels sore to the touch. Or, as we often say in dermatology, the ugly duckling, a mole that doesn't look like the others. These could be early signs of melanoma, the most dangerous form of skin cancer. And while it's less common than other types, it spreads faster and can be life-threatening if ignored. A woman named Edith wrote to us last year. She said, "I had a little mole on my forearm since I was a girl. It never bothered me. Then one day I realized I was scratching it without thinking. The next week it had a scab. My daughter pushed me to see a dermatologist, thank God she did. It was melanoma. But we caught it early. This is exactly why we make these videos. You're not being paranoid for noticing small changes. You're not overreacting if you ask your doctor about a tiny spot. You're being wise. Because when it comes to skin changes, early attention saves lives. Have you ever had a mole that changed or felt different over time? If you're comfortable, share your story in the comments. You never know who it might help or encourage to get something checked. Let me gently ask you something. Have you ever had a symptom, a small itch, a strange spot, or a weird feeling that you just brushed off? Maybe you told yourself, "It's probably nothing. I'll wait and see." Or even, "At my age, everything itches now and then." We've all done it. It's human nature to hope things resolve on their own. But sometimes the body whispers before it screams. And listening to those whispers can make all the difference. If you've ever ignored a little symptom that turned out to be something bigger, or if you had a health scare that taught you to trust your instincts, would you mind sharing it in the comments? Even if it feels small, your story could encourage someone else to get help just in time. We read every message, and we're grateful for the wisdom you share. If this video helped you notice something important or even made you think twice about a small itch, please consider giving it a like. It tells YouTube that this kind of caring conversation matters, not just for us but for many others walking this path. And if you found comfort or value here, subscribe to Wisdom and Stillness for more honest, gentle talks about aging with grace and wisdom. Your voice matters too. If you have questions, experiences, or thoughts, please share them below in the comments. We read every one, and this community grows stronger when we look out for each other. Thank you for being here. Your well-being means a lot. Our bodies often whisper before they speak loudly. An itch is usually just an itch, a small nuisance of daily life. But sometimes, that whisper is a gentle reminder, a signal that deserves our attention and care. As we journey through life after 60, staying curious and proactive about these little signs helps us protect our health and peace of mind. Remember, kindness to yourself includes listening carefully to what your body is telling you. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Take gentle care.